Hello Tech Math Nerds. In this video we're going to take a look at using GMath for Google Forms. Now the process is very similar to what happens in Docs, so I'm not going to go in super detail about the process, but there are a few things that are different and there are a few different options that you can take a look at. First off, to get to the add-ons, you go to this puzzle piece up here and you click on the puzzle piece and you choose your GMath for Forms. And the first four of these are the same as in Docs, where it create an expression, a graph, statistical display, handwriting entry. But then the last two are a little bit different. Creating a multiple choice question, since this is a form, is one of the options. And then deploying GMath for responses to this form is another one. And we'll get to that in a later video. But we will discuss this one right here. One other thing that I want to mention is in order to get an add-on, you go to the three dots up here at the top right, and you click on them, and then add-ons are at the bottom. If you click on this, it will allow you to get additional add-ons for Google Forms, and then once you get add-ons, they'll keep showing up right here. Now, when you create an equation or something like that in Google Forms, what it basically does is it creates a picture. So this right here is my first example, and I wanted to simplify the radical. So what it did is it made a picture, and it gave the picture a title, and then there's the picture. And then what it does is it creates an answer block below that. So it basically asks a question below that, and it says answer for simplify the radical. So basically they see the question and then they see a place for their answer. And it does that for both expressions, and it also does it for graphs as well. So this is a graph, and again this is a picture. There's the title, and then there's any help text that you want to put. So I also added a help text for this one, and then they can put their answer below. The other option that you have in GMath for Forms is to create a multiple choice question. Now, just to let you know, if you want to create a multiple choice question that does not use GMath in the question, but the answer choices need GMath, you can actually create the answer choices, and what it'll do is it'll create an image, just like your other things do. So an image is created. If you wanted to put a question, what you can do is do the answer choices first, and then you can create up here where it says image title, you can just put in the title for that question, which is basically the question itself. In this particular example, however, I wanted to use GMath for my question as well. So I put my question up here, which was to factor this expression. So I said factor completely. And so I used GMath to create this. And then I went back into GMath and I chose the answer choices. Just to let you know, on the student version of the form, they won't see something that says image title. They won't see that. So it'll look a lot better. It will look like it flows as a question. The one thing that it doesn't do really well is because it needs to use images for the multiple choice here, the responses are actually below. So the students can't choose anything up here because this is just an image. What they need to do is they need to do the multiple choice questions, which will show up right below that, and they just choose the corresponding one. So you'll need to make sure your students know how that works before they actually do it. Now let me actually go through, and I want to create a question just for an example for multiple choice. So I'm going to go to GMath for Forms. So I'm going to create a multiple choice question. And it's going to bring up my GMath over here on the side. And you'll notice there are 4 questions. I think I said you could do more than 4. You can actually only do 4. But you can do less than 4 if you want to. Now, for your first option, what you're going to do, and by the way, there are 2 math parts that go along with each question. And I'm not sure why. I suppose you have the opportunity to put an equation in the top part and then a graph in the bottom part if you wanted to, or something like that. But let's say that I am going to create some multiple choice answers. So I'm just going to click on the top part right here, and this is where I'm going to put my information. And I have all of the choices that I have normally. I can do an expression, a graph, a statistical display, a handwriting entry. I also have the ability to insert an image if I want to, or take a picture from my webcam. So I do have some options there for what I can do. If I want to create an expression, I can enter the latex for the expression, and if I know the latex, I can just type it in. Otherwise, I can look at some different latex options. So I can do the square root, for example, and I'm going to do the square root of 7. And I'm going to put a 60 out here. Once I'm done with that, what I can do is I can hit the plus sign, and it will create that as one of my options. And then it shows up here. And if I want to minimize all of this stuff so that I'm just looking at the top math part, I can do that. I can also go through and do the exact same thing for option B. By the way, there's a little slider to include each option. So if I want 4 multiple choices, I can include each of them. And I can go through for each of them, and I can add expressions and things like that. Now, one thing I will say is I feel like this is a little bit bulky. So one thing that I have done before is I'll create my math expressions in Google Docs and then just copy and paste them, because I find that to be much easier. Once you're done with the question, then you hit the plus sign here, and it will insert the multiple choice question down at the bottom. So it's going to go down here, and here's the multiple choice questions. Now you'll notice that I did not do B, C, and D. I only did A, so that's the only one that showed up. But if I added information for B, C, and D, those would show up as well. So that's just a couple of quick things about GMath for forms.